Some wars start over a border, others with a single gunshot. But what if a truly modern war, one fought with stealth jets and cyber weapons, actually began with a script written 2,500 years ago? What you're about to hear is a story where ancient text and modern warfare collide in the most unbelievable way. Over Tehran, the night just shatters. The city is asleep, completely unaware that a military operation of absolutely breathtaking scale has just been unleashed. Its codename is Operation Epic Fury, and it's the first shot in a war that is about to change the Middle East forever. In just a few hours, the very heart of Iran's military and its political power is just systematically taken apart. We're talking Tomahawk missiles, F-35s, swarms of drones hitting hundreds of targets. But the most critical strike? The one that takes out Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. A complete decapitation of the regime. Now let's be clear, this is not a minor skirmish. U.S. Central Command themselves confirmed it. This is a historic military event. It's the kind of overwhelming force you use when you don't just want to win a battle, you want to end your enemy's ability to wage war, period. But as the smoke starts to clear, this strange question begins to surface. And it has nothing to do with geopolitics, and everything to do with something much, much older. Are we really just watching a 21st century war? Or are we seeing the final act of a play written in the ancient world? To really understand what's happening, some analysts aren't looking at spy satellites, they're not reading intelligence briefings. No, they're looking at ancient scrolls. And they're arguing that two specific, ancient texts hold the key to this entire thing. So you've basically got two different blueprints. On one side, you have the Elam prophecy from the book of Jeremiah. It describes a really specific targeted strike. But then you have the Gog of Magog prophecy from Ezekiel, which describes a massive multinational invasion of Israel. Two totally different scenarios for a war with Iran. Okay, so let's follow the clues together. We're going to start with that first prophecy from Jeremiah, the more focused one, because this is where things get, well, pretty uncanny. The overlap between this ancient text and modern war is just chilling. Now, the first thing you have to understand is the geography. The prophecy names a specific place, Elam. And what's wild is that ancient Elam maps almost perfectly onto a province in modern Iran. And this isn't just some random piece of desert. Oh no, it is the absolute heart of Iran's oil industry and home to its most critical nuclear sites, like the Bushehr facility. And the text is incredibly precise about what happens. It says, I am going to break the bow of Elam, their finest weapon, the very core of their strength. So the question is, what's the modern equivalent of an ancient bow? Think about it. In the ancient world, the bow was the ultimate long-range weapon. It was how you projected power from a distance. So analysts look at that and say the modern bow of Iran, well, it has to be its ballistic missile program, and of course, its nuclear ambitions. So when Operation Epic Fury is specifically hammered missile sites and nuclear facilities, to a lot of people, it looked like a literal modern-day breaking of the bow. But the Elam prophecy, that's only half the story. That second ancient text we mentioned, the one from the book of Ezekiel, it paints a much bigger and frankly more terrifying picture. We're not talking about a surgical strike anymore. We're talking about a massive invasion of Israel, led by a coalition from the far north. For centuries, scholars have been trying to decode the ancient names in this text, and they've come to a pretty startling consensus. They believe Rosh is Russia, geographically far to the north of Israel. Persia, well, that's easy. It officially became Iran in 1935. The other names get mapped onto modern Turkey, Sudan, and Libya. And suddenly you have an alliance that looks eerily familiar today. But here is the crucial twist. Most people who study these prophecies don't think this 2026 war is that final battle. Not yet. Instead, they see things like the current Russia-Iran partnership as stage setting. It's a foreshadowing of what's still to come. Which, of course, raises the $1 billion question, what's the final trigger? And the answer, for many, is one of the strangest, most powerful elements in this whole story. It's an event that connects ancient religious law to modern-day conflict, and it all revolves around something called the red heifer. So what on earth is a red heifer? Well, according to the Bible, the ashes of a perfect, completely red cow with no blemishes are required to ritually purify the priests who would serve in the temple. The bottom line is this: without those ashes, the prophesied third temple in Jerusalem simply cannot be built. And for nearly 2,000 years, an animal that fits the description hasn't been found. Until now. And if you think this is just ancient history, think again. This is happening right now. In 2022, 5 perfect red heifer candidates were flown from Texas to Israel. Then, in 2023, Hamas leaders explicitly pointed to the heifers as a threat to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and a reason for their attack. And in 2025, a rehearsal for the sacrifice ceremony was actually held. It feels like a prophetic clock has started ticking. To really get the weight of this, you have to hear what the famous 12th century scholar Maimonides said. He taught that 9 red heifers had been prepared throughout all of history, and that the 10th and final one would be prepared by the Messiah himself. So for believers, the arrival of these animals isn't just news, it's a messianic signal. And all of this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. It takes us right back to those tense hours just before the first bombs fell on Tehran, and it reveals the absolutely startling origin of the operation's name. Right before launching this massive attack, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made a quiet trip to the Western Wall in Jerusalem. And there, he slipped a small, folded, handwritten note into a crack between those ancient stones. His office didn't reveal what it said for another week. The message contained just 6 words. The people shall rise up as a lion. A simple phrase, right? But one that is absolutely loaded with thousands of years of history. And believe me, it was no random choice. That note was a direct quote from the Book of Numbers, chapter 23. This is the exact verse that gave Israel's part of the operation its name, Rising Lion. The war was explicitly, deliberately framed not in modern political terms, but in ancient biblical ones. Which leaves all of us with a final and, honestly, a deeply unsettling question. Are leaders and nations just pawns, moving through a story that was written for them long ago? Or are we the ones using these ancient scripts to write the history of our own time? The line between prophecy and policy has truly never been more blurred.